Hey book besties, welcome back to another bookish video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my entire physical TBR, aka all the books that are on my bookshelves that I haven't read yet. And there's definitely quite a lot on here, so I thought it would be fun to just share this video with you guys because I love watching everyone else's physical TBRs. And to make life easier for me, I have turned around all the books that I have read just so I don't miss out on any books that I haven't read yet. I'm super excited to share this video with you guys. Leave a comment down below right now making your guess of how many books are on my physical TBR, and then at the end of the video I'll count up all of the books and tell you guys how many unread books I've got on my shelf. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy watching this video and let's just jump right into it. So all of my books are on my IKEA Billy bookshelves. I've got two of these attached together. This is not an official bookshelf tour, but if you guys want to see the process of me putting together my home library, I'll have that video linked down below. But I'm gonna go shelf by shelf and show you guys the unread books from each shelf. All right, so starting from this shelf, the first four books that I've got are part of the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. So this is actually still in its box set. So we've got A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight. I've heard so many good things about this series, so I really need to get on it. Then I've got two other books from a series as well. This is part of the Red Queen series. So I've got King's Cage and War Storm. These are the last two books. The other two books are Glass Sword and Red Queen, which I have already read. So I've only got these two books left to go. So I really need to read them. Then I have another box set, and this is the Folk of the Air trilogy, also known as the Cruel Prince series by Holly Black. So we've got The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. This is a YA fantasy series that I also really need to get to. I do want to film a reading vlog for it, so hopefully I'll get to it in the next couple of months. And the last book on this shelf is actually a little novella, and that is Killjoy by Holly Jackson. This is like a little prequel to the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, which I absolutely loved, so I definitely need to pick this one up in the future. So that is shelf number one. Let's move on to shelf number two. On this shelf, majority of the books are turned over, which means that I have read quite a few on here, which is really great. So the first book in here that I have is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is the sequel to It Ends With Us, which I read a couple of years ago, but I'm kind of hesitant on picking this one up because I've heard so many mixed reviews. Then I have Without Merit by Colleen Hoover as well. I don't actually know too much about this book, but it's kind of been one that I have never gravitated towards, but I do need to read it because it is on my 2023 TBR. Then we have the three books in the Hopeless series, which are Hopeless, Losing Hope, and Finding Cinderella. So these are all part of the Hopeless series. The next book I have is This Girl, which is also by Colleen Hoover. This is the last book in the Slam series. So the only book I have from that series though, because I got this secondhand. But yeah, as you can see, this whole shelf is basically a Colleen Hoover shelf because I own a lot of her books. So I was like, I may as well just put them all together. But yeah, this is the third book in that series, which I haven't read the first two yet because I don't have them. Then I've got All Your Perfects. This one, I have been told it's best to read the Hopeless series first and then read All Your Perfects and then read a book called Finding Perfect, which is the other little book I have. This is a novella and it kind of connects the two worlds together. So that's the reason why I haven't read these two books yet, because I need to read the Hopeless series first. So that completes this shelf, but I also wanted to show you guys, this is not a book, but it's so cute. I just wanted to show you because it's so adorable. It's this little frame that my friend Ali gave to me for Christmas. It says miles apart but close at heart, and it's just like our little girl gang. This is me, Ali, and Victoria, and it's literally the cutest thing ever. So I have it displayed on my shelf that I literally try to show every little chance I get because it's so sweet. All right, let's move on to the next shelf down. So this is my little romance romance series shelf. The first two books that are unread are Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies. These are the last two books in the Twisted series. I have already read Twisted Love and Twisted Games, but these two in particular are 5-star predictions, so I definitely need to get to them ASAP. Then I've got the Calloway Sisters books by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm not going to take either of them out because they're already like staying there. So I've got Kiss the Sky, Hot House Flower, Feel the Fire, Long Way Down, and Some Kind of Perfect. The Calloway Sisters books actually intertwine with the Addicted series, so that is the only reason I haven't picked these up yet, is because I don't own the Addicted books yet, so I can't read these books until I've read them. And then over here I have got the Wild series. So I have already read Simple Wild, which is sitting right here, but the continuation of the series is Wild at Heart, which is the sequel to the Simple Wild, Forever Wild, which is a little Christmas novella following the same couple from the first two books, and then Running Wild, which is actually so special because this one is a signed copy from the author K.A. Tucker, which is so cool. It's one of my only signed books, so it's very special to me. But this book is in the same universe, but it's following a different character. Then we have this little shelf, which I call the Pink Corner. So the first book that I have on here is Listen to Your Heart by Casey West, which is a YA romance. I love Casey West books for palette cleansers, so I've kind of just been saving this one for when I'm in a reading slump. Then I've got Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. This is actually on my February TBR, so I'm hoping that I get to read this month. Next one is My Mechanical Romance. I have also been kind of saving this one for when I'm in a reading slump because it is quite short and because it is a YA academic rivals situation. See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. If I'm going to be completely honest, the only reason I haven't picked this one up is because I DNF'd one of her books, so now I'm kind of like nervous to pick any of her other ones up. But this one is kind of like a Groundhog Day situation, which I always find so interesting, so hopefully I will get around to reading this one some point in the future. Then we've got the book that's been on my physical TBR the longest, and that is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is also another romance. We've got The Wedding Crasher by Mia Sosa. This is a fake dating romance and it's surrounding a wedding. I love weddings in books, so I do have high hopes for this one. I think I'm really gonna love it, so I need to get to it. The next one I have is True Love at the Lonely Hearts Bookshop, which is by Annie Darling. Don't know anything about this book, honestly. I did get this one thrifted. I have a classic, which is Pride and Prejudice. I have tried multiple times to read this book, but I'm just not a classic girly, but I have been having it on my shelf because I do want to read it at some point. It's just not going to be anytime soon. We have a TJR book, which is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Her writing is just next level. None other than anything that I've ever read before. I love her so much, so I definitely need to read this at some point because I know I'm gonna love it because I love anything this woman writes. So those are all the unread books from this shelf. Now we're moving on to the last bottom shelf of this bookshelf. So this is my bottom shelf. As you can see, there are so many unread books on this one. It's actually ridiculous. I'm also filming this one handheld because my tripod doesn't go any lower, so I'm so sorry if it's a little bit shaky. But the first book that I have on my physical TBR from this shelf is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I definitely want to read this very, very soon because this is such an anticipated read of mine. Ramon and Julieta. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It's also less than 300 pages long and it's also centered around food, so I think I will really enjoy this one. Next one I have is The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is actually a book that I have tried to read 3 times already and have DNF, but I do want to give it another chance because I think it has potential to be great. I just need to get past the first few chapters. We've got A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings. I think this is one that I'm really gonna love because it does get compared a little bit with The Love Hypothesis, which I loved. The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I am very hesitant to pick this one up after I read The Spanish Love Deception and absolutely hated it. Hopefully this one is better. Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. This is another 5-star book prediction for me because we are following a house flipper, and I love anything that's like house flipping, home renovation type of vibe, and the main character is also a content creator, which I think is so fun. Battle Royal. This is one of my favorite book covers. It is so pretty. I think this one is a Rivals to Lover, and it's also centered around food, which I love. We've got a book from one of my favorite authors, and that is Sarah Adams. This one is A Temporary Roomie, a holiday romance, which is The Holiday X-Files by Jennifer Peel. I will definitely, hopefully, get around to reading this one in December this year. Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Honestly, I don't know why this is still sitting on my physical TBR, because I know I'm really gonna like this book because it's Grumpy Sunshine and small town setting. I think it's just the thickness of it that's like intimidating me, but please convince me to read this book, especially now that Things We Hide from the Light is getting released. From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. This is an enemies to lovers romance. It's figure skating, so it's got a sports romance aspect. She's also another chunky one, but a one that I think I'm really gonna love, but I'm saving this one to read in winter just purely for the fact that it's following 2 ice skaters. We have Bridesmaids by Jane Costello, which is a book that I thrifted. Then we have this little stack right here. I've only read 2 from this stack, so I'll go through the 4, but I won't pull them out because they're like perfectly aligned right now. So I've got A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. I'm saving this book for when I really want emotional damage. Same with P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern, Crazy in Love at the Lonely Hearts Bookshop, and Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. And then over here we've got Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey, which is the second book following It Happened One Summer, but this one is a Friends to Lovers. All right, so that is my entire physical TBR from this first Billy bookshelves. I'm going to be moving on to the second Billy bookshelf, except I've only got 4 full shelves from here. For my second Billy bookshelf, I think I'm just going to make my way from down upwards for this one because I think that's just going to be easier. So the first book I have from this shelf is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. This is, I think, a fantasy book. Then I've got 2 books in the Twisted Tales series. So we've got As Old as Time and Go the Distance. A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. I've heard some really good things about this one. I've heard this is kind of like Gossip Girl vibes as well, and it's set in this like preppy school situation, and I am very excited about that. Then I've got the first 2 books in the Dreamland Billionaire series. So we've got The Fine Print and Terms and Conditions. Both of these are billionaire romances and Grumpy Sunshine. There is also a 3rd book, which I don't own yet, but once I get that, that will also be part of my physical TBR. A Risk on Forever by N.S. Perkins. I don't really know too much about. The only reason I wanted this one is because it kind of gave me like a Me Before You vibe, but hopefully with a happier ending. Then I have a book that I'm like very scared of picking up, and that is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. This is actually a bully romance, which I don't really think I will enjoy, but like I can't knock it till I try it. So I do want to pick it up. It is on my 2023 TBR, so hopefully it will surprise me and I will like it. Then I've got Our Secrets and Scars by Maisie Myers, aka one of my favorite underrated authors. I loved The Truth About Love, which is her debut novel, so I really hope I love this one. This is a pen pal prison romance, which I think is so interesting because I've never read a trope like that before. Then we've got a little saddie one. This one is You've Reached Sam by Dustin Thau. Dream On by Angie Hockman, which is a fun little rom-com. Another book by our queen, Sarah Adams. This is The Off Limits Rule. And then the last book on this shelf is To Hate Adam Connor by Ella Mays. All right, now we're moving on to the next shelf up. So the first one we have on here is Throttled by Lauren Asher, which is the first book in the Dirty Air series, which is an F1 sports romance series. The Love Shack by Jane Costello, which is actually a book that I DNF'd in 2022 to and honestly don't think I will ever pick up again, so I will need to unhaul it ASAP. Then we have Her Pretty Face by Robin Harding, which is a domestic thriller. The Little Coffee Shop of Kabul by Deborah Rodriguez. I don't know too much about this one because I got this thrifted a few months ago. In the Weeds by BK Borison. This is part of a Lovelight Farm series. I think this is the second or third book, which is the main reason it's on my TBR because I don't have the first book. The Wish List by Jane Costello. Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, which is also another book that has been on my physical TBR for a very, very long time. Then I have two Kristen Callahan books. So I've got Make It Sweet and Dear Enemy. These two books were recommended by Pauline over at the Books I've Loved, so I definitely need to read these because I trust her opinions a lot. Then I have a spicy little Christmas rom-com which is saved for December of this year, and that is A Merry Little Meet Cute, which is by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. And the last book that I have on this shelf is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh. I don't know if I said her last name right, but this is that book. I've actually been told by a lot of people that I need to read this when I'm in a really good headspace, hence the reason why I haven't picked this one up yet. Moving on to this bookshelf, I have the Inheritance Games trilogy. So I've got the Inheritance Games, the Hawthorne Legacy, and the Final Gambit. I feel like I'm the last person to read this series, but I'm very excited to read it nonetheless. Then I've got another little sad book, which is I Fell in Love with Hope by Lankali. I found this author on Book Talk, and I've heard that this book is so sad but so good, so I definitely want to read it again when I'm in a really good headspace. Then I've got two Ella Mays books. So the first one is Marriage for One by Ella Mays, and the other one is actually what I'm currently reading, but I'm listening to it as an audiobook, and that is To Love Jason Thorne by Ella Mays. So this will soon be out of my physical TBR since I am listening to the audiobook. Then I have a very anticipated read, and that is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, and I absolutely love this cover. It is so pretty. Another book cover that I love and a book that's been on my physical TBR is The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This is actually the newest addition to my bookshelf and she is stunning. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I am very excited to pick this one up because I loved The Love Hypothesis. And I also have Forever Interrupted, which is also another Taylor Jenkins Reid book. And lastly, I've got a little box set here. This is the Love and Paperback collection. So I've got Love and Gelato, Love and Luck, and Love and Olives. These are all by Jenna Evans Welch. These are all YA romances with a summer setting, and they are all centered around traveling as well. And then I have my little TBR glass here as well. That's where I keep her. And then this is my final shelf that we're going through. So the first book series that is on my physical TBR from the shelf is the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. So I've got the Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. Then I have got the After graphic novel by Anna Todd. This is volume 1. The next book I have is How to Plan Your Fake Wedding by Justine Lewis. This is kind of like Love Square situation, I think. Then I've got a very highly anticipated read, and that is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is actually going to be turned into a movie as well, so I definitely need to hop on and read this very soon. We've got The Hardest Fall by Ella Mays, which is another little rom-com. My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey. Honestly, I'm very hesitant to pick this one up because I have heard so many bad reviews about this one, but it sounds so interesting because it's a rom-com mixed in with a murder mystery, so I'm interested to see how that goes. And I've also got My Single Friend by Jane Costello. And the very last book on my physical TBR, The Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes, which I read last year and absolutely loved. So I'm very excited to be picking this one up, hopefully this year. Guys, oh my god, I just went through and counted all the books that I showed you that were from my physical TBR. This is your final chance to guess how many books there were that are unread, because I'm shook. I was like, oh, there's probably around 50. No, there are 103 books on my physical TBR. I literally need to be put on a book buying ban because that's 103 books right there. That's enough to last me a very long time. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Hopefully this made you feel a little bit better about yourselves, because clearly I have a book shopping addiction and I have an enormous physical TBR behind me. But yeah, this was so much fun to do. It really just put things into perspective of how much I need to be on a book buying ban. But if you guys enjoyed watching this video, please give it a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel down below. I post new videos every single week. Let me know in the comments down below how many books are on your physical TBR, because I would love to know. And go ahead and follow me on all my social medias because I post a ton on there as well. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!